Yeah, welcome to it. If you've just tuned in, this is the time on a Thursday morning that we say, hi, Nico, and thank you for coming through to our studios.
Hi to you and also to the listeners. About a century ago, I attended an event at the Anglican Cathedral in Pretoria. It was the diocesan youth event.
Okay.
And the bishop was there dressed in his purple Christmas tree outfit, and all the archdeacons were there,
Yes.
and the priests were there, and I had to be there because I was taking some responsibility for training the youth leaders.
You say a decade ago, so 10
Yeah.
years.
No, it was a lot more.
A couple
than
of decades.
Yes.
I thought a century sounds like a long time.
And they were singing a chorus, Walking in the Light. And obviously, because this is Africa, there was a lot of dancing, a lot of movement. Now, okay, I'm white, I'm Afrikaans speaking, we don't know how to move. So while the whole congregation was doing their really nice coordinated singing in all the languages of the country, I resembled a tortoise with corns trying to do a side shuffle, because the best I could do at school was the old voortrekker type dances, and believe me, there was no movement at all in those kind of things.
So funny.
But what happened in that chorus, the thing for me was that if you're walking in darkness, you're going to stumble, you're going to hurt yourself because you cannot see. And what I understood from that chorus is when there is light, you're able at least to see what you're supposed to be doing. And that then brings me down to two of the themes that I want to touch on today. One is the State of the Nation address.
Yeah.
Because our president has a tough job tonight. And I know by now he's already worked out what he is saying. And knowing what I know about him is he's thrown the script away and started again and scratched out and made certain changes. And he's really got 4 target groups of people he has to talk to tonight. And he's got to make them all feel better. Otherwise, he has failed as our president. And the first group he's got to talk to is the ANC, his own party. And at the last national election, their vote dropped down to 40%.
Yeah.
And he's got to convince them that he didn't make a strategic error by going into the government of national unity.
With the specific parties that he did that.
That's right. He's got to convince them that this was the right move. He's also got to convince them that they need to hear the voice of the electorate, because within 2 years, there's going to be another election.
Municipal and city.
And that one is going to be more difficult to win than the national election.
Sure.
Because now, on the municipal level, we tend to look at what the parties have actually done. So the punishment is more severe.
True story.
So that's one of his targets he's got to deal with. Then he's got to deal with the government of national unity, because while the ANC got 40% of the vote, the parties within the government of national unity that are not ANC got 30% of the vote. The government of national unity will not survive if those parties lose their temper, take their toys and get out of the sandbox. He's got to convince them that it's worth staying, and he's got to convince them that there is enough in it for them to keep working together. And believe me, it's one thing saying that we are friends in public. It's another thing when you're in a boardroom behind closed doors. And there have been challenges. And I have made it very clear I'm in favor of the government of national unity. I think we have benefited as a country by the combined wisdom, knowing that some of those parties I find difficult to agree with, but it gives a broader perspective, and that has been good.
Yeah.
He's got to convince the business community that the government of national unity is in control. The business community has an enormous amount of money available that they're not spending. And they're holding on to see whether the government of national unity is going to survive. And if it does, they're going to start spending. If they start spending, there are going to be more jobs. that cycle gets going. He needs to get that under control. And there are contentious issues like the National Health Initiative. He's already made concessions in the last 24 hours. So it's clear he is hearing, and he's already given us some idea of what he's going to be talking about. So we can see that pattern. He's also got to convince the international community. Now, the international community is divided, but there is a group called the G20, and they are going to gather in South Africa in a couple of months' time. It's critical that he gets enough unity from that community to give us a safe place as a country. And I know he's working at that. Yeah. They're only going to be here for 3 or 4 days. I'll spend some time in Cape Town, some time in the rest of the country. But I know he's going to address that as well. Okay. So he's got a very, very critical decisions. He's got a couple of hours left to put them together, but he's a guy who works ahead of time. He doesn't work at the last minute. And so I'm reasonably positive about what he's going to say. And obviously part of that plan is he's going to have to get Eskom back in line. He's going to have to get some of the other SOEs in line. And he's already announced some of the plans. He'll elaborate on that tonight. And that will help some of the wastages that are happening with the state-owned enterprises. And then I think just on the next topic, which bothers me because this affects listeners particularly, is the issue of the two-pot system.
Taking part of your retirement early.
And it's got so bad that SARS has now made an announcement, and I really want to refer to that announcement. SARS has indicated that 2.6 million people who are employed right now have gone to SARS and made use of the two-pot system by withdrawing money. And it's warned them that for every rand they withdraw is going to cost them at the end of the day about 30 rand in their retirement funding.
So they're losing the
They're
future
going
date.
to lose at a future date around 30 rand for every rand you're drawing now. In addition to that, the 43 billion rand, which was paid out in a couple of weeks to those taxpayers who made use of it, they had to then realize that they sacrificed 1,200 billion rand of their ultimate retirement money by doing that. And they had to then pay tax on that withdrawal. And that tax, 43 billion rand. So, folks, you cannot just use the two-pot system because you need to buy that new motor car. And people are doing that. It's really going to bite you
in the future.
And it's going to cause bigger problems. Yes, if you're going to lose your home, then it may be an option. But please take advice from a certified financial planner. There are between 3,500 and 5,000 of us in various stages of qualification. Go and take advice. It's no good crying afterwards when it's too late, and then you're even deeper financial difficulties than you are going to be otherwise.
Come on. Thank you, Nico. Yeah, we need to be realistic and look at it carefully in that regard. Thank you.
Okay, sure.